If you're in the filmmaking industry, you may have heard shoot like a cinematographer, not a videographer. But in adventure filmmaking, who reigns supreme? The videographer or the cinematographer? Let's find out.
The truth is, there's nothing like old friends. 'Cause you can't make old friends.
Before we dive into which one is better for adventure filmmaking, let's start by defining the two. A videographer is typically a one-person show. From shooting to editing, this person does it all. They're normally more run and gun. They're shooting events where that is required. They may be a wedding videographer, a corporate videographer, basically using a video camera to share stories of real life events. On the other hand, a cinematographer, often referred to as a director of photography, is a little bit more methodical in their approach. They typically work on larger productions, working closely with the director and the lighting team to help craft a visual essence of a film. In creating this visual style, they will often have very elaborate equipment and lighting and resources on this larger production to help that visual language come to life. So now that we know what the two are about, which one is actually better for adventure filmmaking? You may be thinking, well, obviously the cinematographer, their shots are very specific, it's a little bit more methodical, and typically there ends up being more of a air of esteem when it comes to being a cinematographer versus a videographer. However, in adventure filmmaking, the needs are constantly changing. The weather may be going bad, you may be struggling to keep up with an athlete. There are a bazillion things that can go wrong when you're shooting on expeditions or in the adventure filmmaking niche. The unscripted moments that happen when you're on an adventure, that's where I believe that actually shooting more like a videographer is invaluable. Their ability to run and gun, adapt quickly, and capture anything at a moment's notice is exactly what you need for adventure filmmaking. A videographer is agile and resourceful. They don't have a lot of bells and whistles, and they have to do with what they have. When you're out in the backcountry and you're mile 7 on a ski tour and your lens is broken and your ND filter is cracked and you have to come up with on-the-ground solutions to how to capture this moment, being adaptable like a videographer versus more set in stone with a methodical approach as a cinematographer might actually fit better with the needs of the moment. The outdoor industry typically has a little bit smaller budgets than some of these other big budget commercials that you'll see at the Super Bowl, where a cinematographer was required and there were a lot of roles that happened on set. For the outdoor industry, you might be a one-person show filming, editing, and doing everything yourself. So when you're out chasing these athletes through nature and editing it, being able to be adaptable and shooting for coverage when you're out there, just making sure that you've captured something of everything, so when you edit it, you have the ability to tell that story later, is invaluable. And while the artistry and skill sets of a cinematographer are undeniable, they may not be best suited for the adventure filmmaking environment. The meticulous planning, extensive equipment, and need for a controlled environment to create the best visual language possible often isn't realistic on these adventures.
We definitely did not anticipate the entire lake being frozen over, but this is what we get.
So many things went wrong, man. Bro, you know what makes you really scared? What? Can you feel this? Yo, let's get down, man.
So Aiden went up, finished the climb, which was amazing, was descending and couldn't get all of the gear down. The rope got a little bit tangled, so Noah had to then ascend back up and fix some of this stuff.
That's not to say that cinematographers can't adapt, because the great cinematographers on set are dealing with their own challenges all the time. But in capturing the raw essence of these adventures, being rigid simply won't work in capturing what is actually happening out in the field. And when it comes to what is the best, who reigns supreme, the videographer or the cinematographer when it comes to adventure filmmaking, I actually think the best approach is a hybrid approach. The best adventure filmmakers can combine the artistic and technical precision of a cinematographer with the speed and flexibility of a videographer. It's about finding the right balance to create a visually appealing shot with something that's maybe a little bit off the cuff and a little bit more unpredictable. Because ultimately, the heart of adventure filmmaking lies in the storytelling. Because regardless of how you approach it, the ability to tell a meaningful story through your lens is what matters most. Of course, the shots can help capture the essence of the film, the essence of the adventure, but really it's about the heart of your character going through a challenging situation that resonates with audiences the most. To sum it all up, whether you're shooting rock climbing or surfing or mountain biking or snowboarding or anything in the outdoor industry, shooting like a videographer is really important. Making sure that you have the skills to be flexible and adapt to what the needs are changing around you. But regardless of whatever label you want to put on yourself, the goal is to capture a story that matters, to leave an emotionally resonant feeling with your audience. I like to say that stories have a transformative effect on how we see the world. And whether you do it by setting up your camera quickly or through a more methodical approach with maybe more high-end equipment, regardless of how you tell that story, what matters is these stories in the outdoor industry are getting told. There's so many great stories that can be told through nature's lens. And I hope that you, regardless of if you're a videographer or a cinematographer, have learned something here, if you found this video valuable. If you did, hit that like button. If you want to hear more about adventure filmmaking, adventure photography, and how to make a career in the outdoor industry, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video. I love you, I'm proud of you, have the best day ever.